Good morning and welcome to the morning news on Newday. My name is Aisha Yakubu. To the headlines. Government has welcomed any effort to assist in the fight against illegal mining. The minority in Parliament on Thursday walked out over the Republic Amendment Bill. Also, the national chairman of the opposition NDC, Samuel Ofosu Ampofo's invitation letter to the Criminal Investigations Department was served close to 4 hours after his scheduled time to appear. On the international front, armed assailants attacked an Ebola treatment center in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. To our very first story, government has secured 80 million euros from the United Kingdom to begin work on the Kumasi market. Part of the amount is to boost trade and investment between two countries. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia made the observation after return from a business summit in the United Kingdom.
The Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia was in the United Kingdom for a business summit. In the UK, he interacted with the managers of the stock exchange and other business moguls. Discussions in the United Kingdom also centered on boosting investment and trade between the two countries. After the various deliberations, the Vice President secured $80 million to rehabilitate the Kumasi market. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia said part of the amount would be used to spearhead Ghana Beyond Aid agenda.
We have $56 million support for an international terminal at Tamale Airport, and we have 20 million euro support to complete the Bekwai Hospital, which has been, I think, in a state of uncompletion for quite a while.
He again explained how Ghana would sustain trade and investment with the United Kingdom after exiting from the Brexit.
We expect that whatever we are going to put in place by March 29th would be sufficient not to disrupt any trade between Ghana and the UK post-Brexit.
Another round of meeting with the United Kingdom has been scheduled in October this year.
Government has welcomed any effort to assist in the fight against illegal mining, popularly referred to as Galamsey. Information Minister Kojo Ponkrumah, who made this known at a news conference in Accra, said government will investigate the raw and edited footage of the documentary produced by Tiger IPI on alleged corrupt conduct in the fight against illegal mining before it decides on the fate of persons implicated in the expose.
In the documentary produced by investigative journalist Anas Arimiyao Anas, a presidential staffer and secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Cromwell Bissiou allegedly facilitated for a company seeking to circumvent laid-down processes to be given clearance for its mining operations.
Government will have the said tapes properly investigated using the raw and edited footage, and if any persons are found to have solicited monies or taken bribes to bend rules, the necessary action will be taken.
On allegations by Opposition National Democratic Congress that its office had been bagged with secret gadgets, the Information Minister said government, as a matter of policy and practice, does not back the offices or homes of political parties and their leadership. It is distasteful that the party chooses to bring the name of the state into disrepute in its attempt to respond to queries about the validity and origins of the said conspiratorial conversation. He noted government would not take lightly to any conspiracy to create insecurity among the populace.
Government takes very seriously any attempt to attack constitutional and legal entities like the Electoral Commission and the National Peace Council, or any conspiracy to deploy violence and panic, whether through kidnappings or through mob attacks using vigilante groups, or in general, any enterprise to create insecurity within the Ghanaian jurisdiction. And to this end, government will continue to resource and assist the security agencies to forestall any conspiracies to commit crime or acts that create a state of insecurity in our country.
He mentioned plans by government to protect individuals and organizations mentioned in the audio if investigations prove that their security is at stake.
The alleged conspiracy, if true, puts at risk politically exposed persons, families and associates of the government, women and children in Ghana. The necessary steps, therefore, to ensure that the security of such persons and institutions is upheld is currently being examined.
Some other stories. The national chairman of the opposition NDC, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, invitation letter to the Criminal Investigations Department was served close to 4 hours after his scheduled time to appear. Journalists detailed the CID headquarters on Thursday were told the letter which found its way to the media on Wednesday has delivered to the NDC party headquarters after 1 p.m. A report by Peter Kwadato.
The invitation, signed by the Deputy Director General of the CID, ACP George Chineboa, requested Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo to appear at the CID headquarters at 10 a.m. on Thursday to assist in investigations in a leaked audio case. However, the NDC chairman was not served with the expediency with which his invitation letter was served on the media. Journalists detailed to cover the interaction had to wait till about midday before two private legal practitioners, Abraham Amaleba and Victor Kojoga Adawudu, appeared and went straight into the Deputy Director General's office. There was, however, news that the NDC chairman was attending to some private party activities. The two legal practitioners, after 40 minutes, stormed out of the police officer's office.
Well, we came to confirm whether the letter circulating on both traditional media and social media was true and that it was coming from the police CID. And we've confirmed, they say yes, it is coming from the police CID. And so we are now going back to the office and to strategize.
Abraham Amaleba told this reporter their national chairman was not served, as the public was made to believe.
Yes, he has not been served as at yesterday, this morning, but when we confirmed from them, they indicated that they have deposited a letter with the administrator. So whilst we were here, we made calls to our headquarters and they said yes, the letter is now in the office.
But will the national chairman honor the invitation now that it has been served on the party?
Now that we know he has been served, as lawyers, we are going back to strategize with our team. But surely he will be here. Yes, he's not running away. He's not going to be a fugitive.
The Deputy Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department, ACP George Chineboa, confirmed the position by the NDC lawyers but declined further explanations.
Now, the Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited has announced that all branches of Heritage Bank has ceased operations from today, Friday, with the exception of Tema Community 1 and Swami Kumasi branches.
A statement from the receiver at Consolidated Bank Ghana, Vish Ashiagbo, dated February 25, indicated that unless specifically requested, all the receiver's consultant staff will no longer be required to physically report to work at the former branches or head office daily. The statement added that the latest development does not affect the terms of the existing consultancy contract between the receiver and the consultant staff. Accordingly, allowances will be paid in line with the consultancy contracts for the term of the contract, which ends on 31st of March 2019. Over 250 staff were employed by the former Heritage Bank, and as a result of the revocation, they were given a 3-month contract by the receiver. But with only 2 branches being maintained, it is likely a majority of the workers will lose their jobs after the expiration of the 3-month contract in March. The Bank of Ghana revoked Heritage Bank's license on Friday, 4th January 2019, on the basis that the majority shareholder, Seydou Agongo, among other things, used proceeds realized from alleged fraudulent contracts he executed for the Ghana Cocoa Board for which he and the former Cocoa Board CEO, Dr. Stephen Oponi, are being tried to set up the bank.
Let's move to Parliament, and the minority in Parliament has expressed worry the country continues to borrow food from the ECOWAS food security reserves. Yet the President in the State of the Nation's address says the country has produced in excess for exports. NP for Asunafo South, Eric Opoku, and Deputy Minister of Food and Agriculture, Sagri Bambangi, on the floor of Parliament Thursday engaged in a heated argument over the matter.
At the time that we are claiming that we have produced so much and we are even exporting, the government of the Republic of Ghana in January 2019, this year, had to fall on ECOWAS food security reserve for cereals to be able to run the school feeding program under the free SHS policy. And the minister who received the cereals on behalf of this country is the one standing there.
So what happens is that when they kept the food reserves in Yendi and Tamale, after some time they released some of it for our neighboring countries, and what was left, which was being kept by NAPCO, had to be released to the government of Ghana for use and for us to replace again. The results that we took were not that significant.
He said what we took was insignificant. Mr. Speaker, we took 2,750 tons of cereals, 1,000 tons of rice, 750 tons of white maize, 500 tons of millet, 500 tons of sorghum, and we are talking about insignificant. The ECOWAS food security reserve, they stock the items in 4 countries: Burkina Faso, Niger, Nigeria, and Ghana. And all countries that are in need must officially make a request. And Ghana as a nation requested for support because we were in need.
We didn't make any request. They made that arrangement with us because they realized that the cost of holding this food would increase if you compare this to the cost of food that we have, the amount of food that we have exported to these neighboring countries and the food that we produce in Ghana, I would say is insignificant.
Still in Parliament, the minority on Thursday walked out over the Republic Amendment Bill. Minority Leader Haruna Idrusi said the NPP government is rewriting Ghana's history and they will not be part of it.
The Republic Amendment Bill is at the second reading stage in Parliament. The bill is to amend the Republic Holidays Act 2001, Act 601, to provide for January 7, August 4 and September 21 as additional statutory public holidays, and for the celebration of May 25 and July 1 as commemorative days. During debate, the minority side said the NPP government views were retrogressive and that they are trying to rewrite the history of Ghana, of which they will not be part.
You can proceed whenever we come back. We will visit, review, and change accordingly.
Now, the flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has assured aspirants of working hand in hand with them to ensure victory for the NDC come 2020. The failed aspirants, on the other hand, pledged to support him in capturing power from the Akufo-Addo-led government. Addressing a news conference in Accra, the former president called for unity among party members.
The former president underscored the need to go into the 2020 general elections with a united front. He pledged to work hand in hand with the other aspirant who contested him to ensure a win for the party in the 2020 elections.
A lot of the apathy that existed in the branches appears to have been shrugged off, and that is because of the very competitive nature of the process we went through. In the next few weeks, I'll have the opportunity to meet one-on-one with my fellow aspirants. I'll create the opportunity for us to meet together so that we can share ideas about how we can collaborate and work towards 2020 election.
On his part, former UPSA Vice Chancellor Joshua Labi, who came second in the party's presidential primaries, maintained the party would place its best foot forward.
We have elected a leader, but the whole thing is not about the leader. It's about the leadership. And leadership is the leader and the people coming together to work together to achieve the desired objective. In this case, our objective is 2020. And I strongly believe that with what we just started, we are getting ready, and very soon we shall be ready to move out there to start to work and make sure that we wrestle power from the MPP.
National Chairman of the NDC, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, assured all party machinery will be deployed to ensure victory come 2020.
Use this occasion also to assure him of the readiness of the party to put all the structures of the party and its machinery. In fact, the machinery is going to be lubricated more so that it can work very efficiently and effectively to support the campaign and ensure that your unfinished agenda, which was painfully truncated in December 2016, will be restored.
The press conference was ahead of a meeting between the flag-bearer aspirant to discuss the way forward going into the campaign for the 2020 general elections.
In some foreign news, armed assailants attacked an Ebola treatment center in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, setting off a fire and becoming embroiled in an extended gun battle with security forces, health officials said. The identity and motive of the assailants were unclear. Aid workers have faced mistrust in some areas as they work to contain an Ebola outbreak. Dozens of armed militia also regularly attack civilians and security forces in the eastern Congo's borderlands with Uganda and Rwanda, which has significantly hampered the response to the disease. The health ministry said in a statement that 36 suspected Ebola patients and 12 confirmed cases were in the center at the time of the attack. 4 of the patients with confirmed cases fled and are being looked for, it said. None of the patients who have been accounted for were injured, nor were any staff members, the ministry added. And that's all for news this morning. When we return, we have more for you. Do stay with us.
Dear Newday, I have been in a relationship for almost a year now with a lady. The first 2 months of our relationship was smooth and perfect. However, after the first 2 months, no single week passes without we arguing. We argue over almost everything. I am beginning to feel this is not the right place for me. I spoke to a friend about quitting the relationship, but he said arguing is a natural part of every relationship. How true is this?
Well, how true is this? Let me ask Johnny. Do you argue?
Arguments, yeah. I mean, you would argue over 1 or 2 things. The point is how you're able to patch up after you're done arguing. Because, I mean, 2 people with different dispositions, different backgrounds, different trainings, different orientation, different work skills, different experiences, coming together to live under one roof. So now you would argue, an argument will come. For example, I mean, if you go to weddings, they use the example of the toothpaste. Some would like to squeeze it from the middle, bottom, some like to squeeze it from the bottom, whatever it is, it becomes a big argument. You know, my wife, for example, likes to cut her bread. You know, slice them because of her profession. I like to just go and break the bread. I take the whole thing in. I break it while I, you know, she doesn't like it. Sometimes she used to argue with me, then she stopped.
She just gave in, yes.
Because I would do. So what we do now is that we buy 2 loaves of bread. She does the slicing and cutting. Yeah, I like to. Yeah, because of, you know, I was allowed to do it when I was growing up, even though my mother was not in support. My dad says, let him feel free.
However it gets into his stomach,
let him eat, let him feel free.
Exactly. I think you make that salient point of arguments are bound to happen because you're two different people coming together. But it's how rampant they are, number one, and number two, in terms of communication, how well you deal with it to make sure that it doesn't, you know, go out of bounds and it doesn't denigrate the relationship, because some people argue and it ends up becoming very insultive, and you know, you've got people saying terrible things about the other person, and how to patch up after becomes a problem. But if you argue over a few things and then you're able to find a middle ground and move on, like you said, concerning the bread, this is something that you realized was becoming a trend and you found a solution to it. Fair enough. So it's not likely you're going to be arguing over the same issue again. And so you move forward. But if every time is the same issue and it's almost every day, then maybe either you were faking it and now you've gotten to the real deal and you're exposing your true characters, and I mean, maybe you're apart, you just come to a middle ground, then maybe that's why you have these frequent
My mother used to say that, look, if you can claim to love somebody because the person is your fiancé or your girlfriend, she comes to visit and she goes, or you go and visit and you go. When they lock both of you in a room for a week or two, then you realize that because you wake up and you look at the person's face and it has no makeup, it doesn't look like what you know, so now you're thinking, did I make a right choice? Or you wake up and a person is snoring.
Changing gears.
Changing gears. What would you do? So arguments will come, but I mean, I don't know what you think out there, but you can always join us. 020-2166-633, that's our WhatsApp line. Join us and let's hear your thoughts and comments. Is it okay for a couple to argue? How long should they be arguing for? And how should it impact the relationship? We want to know from you, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, or a husband and wife relationship. Can we talk about exes too?
No, but you go and have an argument.
Oh, it's okay.
For what reason?
No, I'm just asking. Oh, I can't ask a question.
Oh, you can't ask, but I mean, if someone actually was doing that, the person has a lot of issues going on. The person is ex. That's in the past. And of course, the NDC one will be in focus as to... But Johnny, let's even go back. Let's rewind. Yesterday, we heard that the CID never gave...
Yes, actually said it was later. It was later. It was served through the media.
And these things that sometimes circulates, because then you allow people to give it a run and start talking about it ahead of time. Obviously, this is a big issue that had blown out. I feel that the police may not have handled it well. If you needed him to be there at a particular time. He's a public official. You know where he is. You know how to reach him. Even if it was going to be through social media, whatever means you need to communicate to him, that at least maybe we've sent a letter to A, B, C, D point. So could you kindly pick it up, or could it be given to you? But if you let it go ahead of time that you've served them, only for us to later be told that it hasn't been, I think these back and forths don't all go too well, because then you paint the person in a bad light, only to be told that really, if we dig into it, this is not what happened. I don't think it's fair.
Yesterday I was taken aback, but then later we started having some explanations that the letter was sent actually to the administrator at the NDC headquarters, and I'm saying, look, for whatever it is worth, you know where the man is.
Exactly.
If you consider what he has said so grave, serve the man, invite him, and bring him. I mean, I don't think it's hard to find. No. And I keep saying that if our police wants to find you, they will find you wherever you are. Wherever you are, they will find you. But yesterday there was a reshuffle. That happened. And I want to speak to the people of Ghana this morning, just about 2 minutes. And I want to speak to you and ask you to speak up. I want you to speak up and let your voice be heard on critical matters, because we have a nation to run. And I like the president's style at the time when he was appointing his 111 ministers. The president at the time, or 110 or over 100 ministers, the president at the time will name an individual, talk about his experiences and his expertise, talk about why he is appointing that person to that office or that ministry, and then, submit the name to Parliament and then ask Parliament to expedite action. That was the style. And I thought it was a fantastic style, because we had a clear-cut key performance indicator for whoever was going to hold that position at the ministry. Beautiful. Fast forward, we're yet to measure what the KPIs are, what their performances are since they got into office. Of course, the president said, we have the men. We have no reason to doubt him until we do an audit of their performance so far, from health to agri to finance to whatever it is. So I expect you to speak up on that. Now, but we know by this measure, what every single minister is supposed to do. Every single minister, whether you're deputy minister, regional minister, whatever it is, we know what you're supposed to do. How then do we come and say that we have a minister, for example, designated to the office of the vice president? How then do we come and say that we have a minister designated to the office of the senior minister? To do what? And in the past, we have had similar instances where we had a minister without portfolio. To do what? I've been asking that question, and I need you to speak up with me as well. What does a minister without portfolio or a minister at the presidency assigned to a certain office do? Because we know that the vice president's office, for example, has staff. We know that the senior minister's office, for example, would have staff. We know that the president's office will have staff. So if you say we are putting a minister there at the presidency, at the vice presidency, at the senior minister's office, or wherever it is assigned to that office, to do what exactly? What will be their clear-cut function? I need you to speak up and ask these questions. And don't leave it for the media alone to be asking the questions and thinking that, oh, the media is not biting so hard. You went to the polls to vote. You went into the booth to vote. You heard the campaign messages. And you heard it. So speak up and ask questions. Speak up. And I'm asking you to do this because the Professor Dora Edubu and the committee, at the last time they did their emoluments for ministers, averagely, we're getting about 15,000 CDs for every minister in this country. So some are getting 14,000, some are getting 15, some are getting 16. But on the average, every minister in this country, whether deputy or what, could be getting around 15,000. That's aside. There's a cook. That aside, there's a bodyguard. That aside, there's a guard at home. That aside, there's a garden boy. That aside, there's a driver. That aside, there's a car. That aside, there's a fuel coupons that are giving. That aside, there's maintenance fees that we have to pay. And per diem if they have to travel. It could be $100, it could be $200, whatever it is. Now, let's put all this together and evaluate it and ask ourselves, are we getting value for money from these people? And for example, if you are giving a minister assigned to the presidency without a specific portfolio, if we're giving him all of these things, what value are we getting from it? I need you to speak up and ask that question. And I need you to speak up and ask that question because the president said, we have the men. True. But if we have the men, what work are the men doing? The CD is falling. What work are the men doing? The CD is falling. Speak up. Good morning.
Anyway, but later in the show, we'll be having Giovanni Caleb join us. And we're going to be talking about 3FM's Drive Time. I won't give you tidbits because certainly you come and hype it. So make sure you stay tuned with us. Don't change the station. But Johnny, as for the ministers, I wouldn't even touch on it. You've done a great job with that. But let's just take a break and we'll be back with more here on Newday. Welcome back. It's time for us to touch on the newspaper headlines coming in this morning. We'll start off with Ghanaian Times. Police unaware of operation by national security operatives at Ayawaso West Wogun. That's coming from Police Director of Operations. Then also, Kaneshi First Light is to be closed to traffic from March 2nd. That will be tomorrow. Then Ghana also marks 72nd anniversary of 28th February Christian Ball Crossroads shooting that happened yesterday. Then, of course, we've all heard about the president reshuffling some ministers, and he appoints ministers for the 6 new regions. And we've got Mr. Yao Afo. He's going to be Deputy Minister Designate of Aviation. Ms. Frida Prempe, Deputy Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection. Alex Kojo Aban, he's Minister Designate of Health, and then Mrs. Barbara Oting-JC, Minister Designate of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. Then moving on to the Finder, there has been a shake-up in the government and Catherine Afeku has been moved. Kofi Amwaku as Bono East Regional Minister Designate. Then we've got Dr. Kweku Efriye. Those are the pictures of some of the ministers appointed. Then also test flight of medical drones has begun. Then Kojo Opon Nkrumah, Minister for Information, is there saying government backs investigation into intercepted NDC meeting audio recording. These are the stories on the Finder. Then Daily Graphic talks about the ministerial changes. Barbara Otin-Jesse has been promoted and Catherine Nafeku has been moved to the presidency. Then again, test flights of drones for medical supplies is to begin. Then political vigilantism can plunge Ghana into anarchy. That's coming from Chief Superintendent Kwesi Ofori. Then we'll touch on Daily Guide, which says government denies bagging NDC office. Also, cabinet shake-up hits ministers, and we've got a picture of Catherine Afeku and Dr. Kwekwe Friye there. Then the new regions gets ministers. Then Keisha's mining clears air. There has been some confusion there, and they have come up to clear the air on exactly what is happening there. Then finally, Opofosu Ampofo swerves police, and that's coming after saying he didn't receive the letter early. Then publisher finally says MPP has not backed NDC officers. Opofosu Ampofo snubs CID over leaked tape. And then finally, the government probes Anas video. And again, Afeku asked in government's reshuffle. So these are the stories on the front pages of our papers. I'm sure you go out there and grab your own copy so you can get details on what is happening out there. But it's time for us to rant, and we're talking about leaked tapes that have become the order of the day, and particularly in focus is the leaked tape from the NDC camp alleging some kidnapping, some things that we've not been too happy about because they are talking about vigilantism, thuggery, and some things that would destabilize the peace of the nation. Let's go out there and rant and find out what your take is on this issue.
This is what it feels like. The NDC is actively weaponizing to become a terrorist organization. The NPP alleges NPP is trying to divert attention from Galamsey documentary. The NDC reacts to leaked audio. Leaked tape. Banish Opofosu Ampofo. Maslock CEO to Pentecost Church. And also, Kennedy Ejapon paid NDC Secret Mo 5,000 Ghana cedis for leaked tape. Opofosu Ampofo was just boasting he cannot even hurt a fly. Alote Jacobs. And Opofosu Ampofo's insult Asante call doesn't worry me. Peace Council Chair. These are some of the headlines that have accompanied stories ever since the alleged tape from National Chairman of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, Samuel Opofosu Ampofo, surfaced. This morning on Daily Rand, we want to find out what you make of the tape, what should happen to Mr. Opofosu Ampofo, and whether this is a diversionary tactic from the ruling NPP.
NPP fo, wopede abribia no, wo magana fo, se bibi banos of for na wo fa kwan bia de wo twen Ghana fo na adwene de wodi fodo abere ntina America dem you see in there ye beda ye bedo sorry ya ye hina ye ni de ade a chen o ya ne de MPP hunanim guase a oye part 2 e wo afie mu ye ba behwe aye waso wagon adanu by election okode okwe ye nhwe kwana MPP fado na nado danko akofo ado oni MPP aba na wo hwe wo fado na wo shake tuasefo nyamransefo wo kweden wo kaprepre nkofo bo nkofo tu wo ho moto bia bia hina yanim ye nhwe aba ni nankasa na so wa ban Galamsey dem Galamsey Anas o sha de obobo bana na mekeche Anas se nanka Anas mo na ba ka mafre na mekeche de on be sha se wo mankasa mampo ho aba ni is wa ban Galamsey ai ni Galamsey onkodo so nkurase wo hene mpo ho mensin gba Galamsey na kwa na rokodo nti Anas am ye hu do oyampa MPP na nado danko akofo ado nankasa ni mpanimfo bia to be precise oy the secretary oy to for the interministerial committee dem papa oy Charles Bisiwa o san ye MPP one wasaronya about the secretary o sha say no all ademidi from kofu hwe me say ehwe video na hu a sika papa of
what is your point?
Me point here and then MPP fu de manim guase no so oy part 2 nti no wo pada wo magana fo ye huna adwene fi de manim guase no ana wa hyeda na Opofosu Ampofo akade no kwa asam ni dem audio na oda bonti na wo say Opofosu Ampofo akade we brother oy doctored
oya yo hopa de ebenya oye gomtren penyin the national chairman of NDC obotum wa geshia party fo na wa shon de won ka ye rukazi dam fanti Ghana man NDC amayeku ahwa amayeku o man won we buga na achere papa de ma sam ka de yenu NDC won pe o man ye nke mo si wa bara wesi sebio o man penyin na do dan kwakufo ado odi watuku esi won hwe no fe ye ntuye no e kese party fo aka che won de ye de sisi da ato da da de ofindelo ko Yabasha said they make life uncomfortable for them. A Pentecost elder. It be a party for buin Ghana for buin. Moje jina wuti mwati them. Young brother Anas. Or the video that by there. Say be out of fache. Oh yeah, and the man to the western region. Young chochofu paying. Oh yeah, on abu Charles Bisu. Say bio. Wakaji katashi. Wakaji skebi inti. Or me jobi kodo. I mean, so I saw some pay the young paying Charles Bisu. Say bio. Wakaji katashi said a prayer. Embracing in bedi. So yeah, no cause. Na say bio. I am gwasipa no de gurusa. Or then brother Anas and bringing it. because they Ghana dan yedibu mano it's all diversionary tactics Ghana ya ba na Ghana asumju ho ma me papa asumju ho na ya kede so wonyim na wode basebase baba aya sodafo a police fo obe make sure that asumju wa Ghana hadi
oya asem oyo ehiasam papa na Erican can wear subs na ke bibi there Maslock penyin say oya NDC one national chairman one second Pentecost pay one train mass for example for instance yate here mo okodo bawaleshi yenya national security officer penyin minister mo se ono na oso nkofo da won kodo won kay dem minister da wan atene godo Eric here eshema papan for example for okay na NDC for what's in there tape no doctor MPP na NDC obia no obotum waka de anu tape ba na okwetie na ogitum enda na NDC for one da ba MPP for one da ba brother bravo obeya da ma obekese tia na cheda henga na fo no woni leader go but ma papa opposam for okay no woni tape ni mu no yin na ya ajatum da papa na okay asamna okay no oni no ohia forget about it getting been doctored or not doctored asamna okay no so ye ginado na ye tuhana man president or kasa wo state of the nation address no okay be there or refer MPP for NDC for na awon wa ketena fom na wa resolve them issue no but ekwen na membre ni ma yen constitution no on my party say bi ni kwan that want to vigilante groups because yana membre ni kire de say epede etuku no oye police fo won adwuma o say de ekomembrahye begumfo motum they haven't been given that right to do that thing
nana adodanko akufo-ado on MPP abani one when you ready there this what do you vigilante group or band today my brother king abani wo tumi abodam wo hyase wo fie de hina enim no so o se wagya tumpa de opede otu dem vigilante group ase a on issue statement there one this bad na the first owia afi ahona obe no otu ando sa afi say what's in there galamse issue anas de boto abontini one fact abade video ni kama mampeni no hwe na so mampeni hwe a na obi a oye bonu wo mu no one aba and the first time you could Ghana hadida because of them some oye ni mugwase a wadokuru abani oye ni mugwase wa tunti no enti wo fa kwan bia no wa twen Ghanaians hena adwen wo yi hena adwen efidam some do oni ti wase wo dem leak tape some
so obi bro which not them and yenya oye tape we leak them a ye wo institutional oye umbrella wa asase owo mani mu o hwede de ye hwe that's the police administration now ma today am na ndeda me today a police fatun sa friend said won be said some wo tape no because bi oye hu ankasa ebe secretary kwade ye wo how ati dem wom kidnap issue ye solving we o ka bibi wo what won be said amese bibi wo muso ne se wa afom mbra na mbra yi ni edi e yonye abade ye sobi kutupa na ye bobi nu baro o ye mbra and o man peyin so ye do bobo Ghana home Ghana mbra no ben it be say there what to insaf won be say nenu masema no so waka ye njira ha dey ye use the media to persecute him we want the due process to be followed so that they no accept as deterrent
Eshema NDC for kede oye galamsi asemininti na of sample for ni tape no wazaba I mean no me isolate to those two cases because they are two different cases ekor bribery and corruption na ekor crime oye we prepare nkofo no we rukunkofo hwe amanyefo no ye ni panyinfo no wonya opportunity won say bie na wozididi won say bie na wozididi edwumari ye wotu okọ abade no so do ohye nkran na ma agidam ademudi minjindi de MPP ni bia beka de aza anas aye no onye no kor anas ansa na ozi bibi otidam ozi babo tugo no na che de wa ye toro nti se ehwa oye biara odi nkan odi become a police for odi become the security agencies ansa na ozi azna benti before anas beka de damazi mribotu gwa na chede wetu wana mwenti no ma wan ND MPP for wara keka de oye aza anas ori ye no oze good wa shas de abenter wali tanini no I don't agree with them.
Are you in any way convinced that something concrete will happen to Vosuampofo?
Ghana obia nsonson Ghana mbra and ambra bia nsu kwande security for another police for bottom South for example. What on South already? Yehu and 10 o'clock no washen. You are so simple. Okodu ha. Asambisa CID boss be beside there. Oh, for sample. Yehu yate ne yehu the video audio bi abada bonten. Audio bi abada bonten a akadegum. Oh, for sample finance ni. Oh, at the masami a maame oye na kwa oye doctor to them one kasa CID boss. What they essay. And the A+ won komodi word what doctor. Oh, there's something. What doctor would it? Must what doctor. But we don't with it.
Are you sure that something will happen? Because this is not the first time leak tape
my brother. Nothing at all should happen simply because Ofusan Pufu has never done anything wrong.
No, the idea of it is doctored. Is it not the man speaking?
The man is speaking.
Even if we're to trace this is his voice. Is that not what is this doctrine?
My brother.
Mijidi there. Oya Ghana mbra no. Obi aso sin Ghana mbra. Meke pa NDC wa benu yesua President Mahama yanyin court. I'm paying for Nabrodo was soon when you court because of Hotel Kufo. Iti so Obi Biala Sebio Nika said Nindia Obugan Bra. I don't know you need no matter where the person is coming from.
Welcome back, and the Ghanaian Times. Police unaware of operations of national security operatives at Ayas West Wogon. Police Director of Operations says so. Kaneshi First Light to be closed to traffic from March 2, and Ghana marks 72nd anniversary of 28 February Christianburg Castle Crossroads. President reshuffles ministers, appoints ministers for 6 new regions. And there you have it. Yana installs Paramount Chief of Savalugu. The Finder newspaper, shake up in government. Test flights of medical drones begin. Government backs investigation into intercepted NDC meeting audio recording. The Daily Guide, government denies bagging NDC office. Cabinet shake-up hits ministers. New regions get ministers. And Cassius mining clears air. Ofuswampo swerves police. The Daily Graphic, ministerial changes. Barbara Otin JC promoted. Catherine Afeku moves to presidency. Test flights of drones for medical supplies to begin. And police vigilantism can plunge Ghana into anarchy. Chief Superintendent Kwesi Ofori there. The Catholic Standard. Pope outlines 8 points in battle against abuse of minors. And church leaders must admit mistakes, says Archbishop Name at the Vatican. The Publisher. Ovoswapo snaps NDC over leak tape. Government probes Anas video. Afeku asked in government's reshuffle. MPP has not bagged NDC office. And the weekend, just because it's a weekend, danger looms over Kaswa Opeiki man, quarry lands. NDC man swindled investors. And GCFM assures customers of better service. And there's also a hot styles of black dreadlocks for black women. My guest this morning are the Member of Parliament for the Bongo constituency, Mr. Edward Bauer is here. Honorable, good morning. Thank you for your time. And Mr. Richard Nyama is also here. He's a key member of the MPP. He speaks for the party chairman and is a member of the communications team as well. Mr. Nyama, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Morning. Oh, I didn't know that. That's supposed you speak for the party chairman. Me, I didn't know that. You know, I saw him here and I said, hey, Charlie, this is my brother. How? I didn't know you were a big man.
He's the deputy communications director of the party, so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But you're also on energy.
I'm aware of my own.
I told you it's in his DNA.
No. Richard,
to play mischief.
He's carrying the off-air mischief on and I've always known him that way. Just ignore him.
Gentlemen, let's start off now. The issue of the tape and the Galamsey tape, of course, first of all, let's talk about the reshuffle that's happened. I was asking you a question this morning, what the role of, thankfully you have been a minister before.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
You
worked with a minister before.
Yes.
I'm asking the function of a minister of state at the presidency, or what we call a minister without portfolio. I'm asking what the function is. I've been asking that question. Maybe there are some answers, I don't know. I'll start with you, Mr. Bauer.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me first and foremost say good morning to your viewers and to my constituents. It's by their grace that we're here. Now to the specific question as to what will be the function of a Minister of State presidency. So there could be a lot of functions. You know that if you look at, we have what we call the government machinery. The government machinery is not just made of just the president alone. You have other agencies that fall under the Ministry of the government machinery, or maybe the presidency. You have the Population Council that is there. You have MASLOC that falls under that. Indeed, you have PURC that falls under that. You have other agencies that come directly. They don't fall under any other, ministry, but it's under the presidency. And so some of the ministers of states mostly are sometimes assigned to that. The name that readily comes to mind is somebody like Rashid Pelpo under us.
Okay.
Even he was a minister of state, but he was in charge of PPP.
Right.
So all public-private partnership arrangements came under his purview, and he worked in collaboration with the relevant ministry. It could be Ministry of Energy, if that was where the PPP was. It could be Ministry of Works and Housing and what have you. So you could have that. So to have a minister of state at the presidency, that is one answer. It could also be...
But all these organizations or institutions that they supervise also have CEOs. Who are
they have CEOs, but you need a political supervision.
Okay.
It's just that, unfortunately for us, we have decided to, for lack of a better word, vandalize our state institutions, that even CEOs are politicians. But ordinarily, you should have a situation where in most of these organizations, it should be a career path to the top. And therefore, whilst you are there as a technocrat, you have a political supervision, because at the end of the day, the government of the day will have a vision that will have to be prosecuted. And so there should be some level of ministerial supervision on that. Remember that all ministers work in the person of the president as per the constitution. Right. And so the minister would have then been conveying to such institutions that. But you could also have a situation where a minister of state is just sent there just to read newspapers.
Really?
Yes. Or maybe just to tell you that we just feel shy sacking you.
Okay.
But you come here. I'll give you a typical example. The current reshuffle, where you have Madam, my colleague, Honorable Katrina Fego, being sent to the presidency. I'm sure the woman herself, if you ask her what is your position, what is the designation you have, unless she reads it, she won't remember. Because it is Minister of State at the presidency, assigned to the office of the minister, senior minister. That is the title. I'm just reading a title for you. Just look at it.
Is there? Well,
it's there.
Yesterday
so that to the extent that I'm convinced that my colleague, if you ask her what is your designation, or maybe even her complimentary card, I don't know how she's going to write. She will need a whole page, a whole book, or maybe a whole leaflet to be able to put her designation on it. Such positions, you do know that it's just that they feel shy telling you that we are fed up with you. And the only way to go about it is to do what they do. You have a situation where you have a minister of state in the office of the vice president. So you ask yourself, what is he going to be doing there? There are certain people to just a minister of state, and they get there. And I know this. I know some ministers who you get to the ministry, you get to the presidency, they have no schedule. All they do is draw fuel, get paid, stay in a government bungalow. And if you are lucky and the president is traveling, they remember you, in case they are writing the names for those who are going to travel, and you pass by and say, oh, this man is still here. Let's put his name there. That's exactly, and I know some ministers, because of the fact that it's live television, I wouldn't want to mention that. But you see that they were just posted to the presidency for either some balance, to achieve some balance, or maybe because they feel shy, or to a very large extent, the president may owe you some particular favor.
Is that a way to go?
It is never the way to go, but I'm just trying to tell you that. You see, all of us are worried about the numbers we have. Now we are flirting around we're almost getting to 130, because it's about 125, 124 to 125 ministers. Just look at it. On the average, if you have 125 ministers for a population of 29 million, I mean, to what extent why do we need this? The president, I remember when he decided to break the record by giving us 110 ministers. And we questioned, civil society questioned, the media questioned, politicians questioned the numbers. He indicated that, look, let me be judged by the output of these ministers.
And me, I like the president's way of announcing the ministers. If he mentions Mr. Richard Nyama, for example, he tells you what his expertise are, what his experience is.
I agree with you.
And then he tells you what his particular KPI is.
Yes.
So you know
why
he's being put there.
So thank you've mentioned KPIs. So at the end of the day,
you have to wrap up for me. So
so at the end of the day, he says they will know their output. As we speak today, 2 years into his government, we are in the 3rd year now, am I right?
Right.
So 2 years into his government, can we have a very good assessment of him? Is it the case that the output that we have seen today is reflective of the numbers? Is it justifiable to have the numbers 110, now 125? I mean, let's be sincere with ourselves.
There's an evaluation minister who, for example, is doing...
An evaluation minister. And that's what I'm saying. Look, you do not need an evaluation minister to tell you that the CD is depreciating. You don't need an evaluation minister. You don't need an evaluation minister to let you know that as we speak today, our power sector, the utilities are collapsing. You don't need an evaluation minister to tell you to a very large extent that you have a lot of unemployed youth on the streets. You don't need an evaluation minister to tell you that as we speak today, school children who are under the pretext of free education have their future being jeopardized.
Thank you.
So I don't need an evaluation minister to know that when I live it.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Nyama, will this reshuffle change anything?
Thank you, my brother, and good morning to your viewers. Is it not ironical that my brother, who is not the minister that has been posted, can remember what the title is, and he expects the person who has been posted not to remember the title? That's just...
I was not too sure. I even quoted the title very well. I'm not sure I quoted the title.
Okay. I like to make his point.
No, he drew me into the conversation. So that's why I had to respond.
Anyway, that's just by the way. And you see, he also alludes to happenings in the past administration, where people are posted just to read newspapers, and he's
I didn't say that. I didn't say past administration.
You are speaking from experience, and which experience you would have gained in your obviously not the let them read newspapers, and when the president is traveling, they remember, they will add you to the long list of those traveling to draw some per diem. Yes, that is their way of doing it. But you see, you brilliantly spelled out, and it's a novelty. Prior to President Akufo-Addo coming in, we didn't have sector ministers being given their schedules and KPIs publicly. So aside your evaluation minister and all that, you and I, and especially the media, if we had media professionals that were specialized, like we have in other jurisdictions, what we could do was to take sector by sector, look at their KPIs. Aside the Minister of Evaluation doing his job, evaluating these various people based on their the KPIs that have been given them, and then independently tell Ghanaians that, okay, per the KPI that was given X on the day of appointment, we've ticked off 5 out of 10. And so in terms of performance, we'll give him or her an average of 50%.
I've asked the Ghanaians to do this morning. I've told them to do that, to speak up as well.
Who?
I have told them to speak up this morning.
You see, yeah, but that is the point.
Because they can't leave the media alone to do the full job.
No.
They went to the polls to vote.
Yes, you see, they unfortunately, as a people, some have access and expertise. The media largely has that, the access and expertise. If an individual on their own volition, especially in this age where having access to information is that difficult, it is
rather it's easier.
Hold on. It will be easier when the that freedom of information,
right to information
is passed. It will be easier, because that one I know within the laws that you are mandated, okay? And so until we get there, we have limited access. There are certain things you cannot get. But I'm saying that because of the position of the media and also their level of expertise, the likelihood of you getting, okay, if you went to a minister, and you can easily have access to that minister than a guy walking on the street. That, okay, on your appointment day, this was a KPI that was published. On ABCD, we want information on the performance or realization of these KPIs. Because we are going to publish on your ministry. So it's either we go out there and publish you've done nothing, or you let us have the access and the information.
This is work that the evaluation minister should have done, published.
You see,
and should have let us know quarter by quarter at least what the ministers are doing.
I said that they aside the minister.
But we have not seen any sheet from him saying that, well, this quarter, for the first quarter or last quarter of 2018, for example, this is how the ministers have fared. The ministers' league
If I
table.
remember, in I think somewhere in early 2018, there were reports on the work that the minister had done on the various ministries.
It was one off.
A one-off. That is 1 year gone.
And he himself as evaluation minister was not evaluated.
Hold on. He did a one-off. That would have been for a year gone. And I'm saying that hold your horses. We are now in the 3rd year. So you should be expecting that of the 2nd year that has just gone by. You evaluate what
but the first year, there's no evaluation for the first year.
Oh, if you had an evaluation report and discussion in 2018, it obviously was for 2017.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And if you get one in 2019, it's for 2018.
Okay.
So hold your
when
horses.
Is that one due? When is that due? That came around the State of the Nation address, I remember, because I interviewed him.
That is the point. That is the point I'm making. I'm saying that hold your horses. You will hear from him.
Okay.
But you see, the media are seen as more of independent and more trustworthy. You are doing the work.
As compared to the minister.
No.
Look, I'm just trying
I'm
to
saying that. Hold on. Hold on. When you reflect us as a people. Okay. What you tell us, we hold you more dear, and we're more likely to believe what you say as being a true reflection of the situation.
But if a government,
than a minister coming to say that, oh, this is what I have done.
But Richard,
you as an independent person, if you came up with a situation report, it's more likely to be believed.
Is it a suggestion that the minister's report will not be believed? We have a minister of planning, we have a minister of evaluation. These people are professionals. They are professors and doctors. If they do an assessment, what would give the people of Ghana the slightest doubt not to believe what they put out?
I think you're twisting my words. I'm saying that besides the minister's report, and I'm saying await it. It will come.
Okay.
But you, as media, who are fishing for news and fishing for information, you know what? When you start doing an evaluation of the various ministries, what you do is that you change the debate, the paradigm. The focus becomes one of development instead of all the other unnecessary things will mostly will be.
Key question on the minds of many Ghanaians that the numbers are ballooning and they are not happy. Then they want to know sincerely, how many ministers do we need to efficiently and effectively run this country?
Right now you have 6 regions. Automatically you would have 12 ministers.
Not necessarily.
Hold on.
You don't necessarily have 12.
Allow him, Mr. Banner. You have your
when it comes to your turn. You have 6 regions. Unless he can tell me of a situation where under them they fail to appoint a minister or a deputy to any region.
Okay.
Especially when the regions are new. There's a lot of work to be done. Administratively, politically, locally, structurally. You are setting up offices, you are setting up structures. You would need to have men on the ground to do that. These are new administrations being formed from the scratch. And so there has to be focus there. Monies are going to be pumped in there. There would have to be some expenditures. one way or the other, because the purpose of doing this is to decentralize, devolve, and actually take development across. That is why we divided the regions.
Wrap up
so
for me.
If you think that adding 12, that is 6 ministers and 6 deputies to the numbers is not what should have been done. My question is, if you were in this situation, what would you have done?
Okay.
Would you have decided that you would not appoint any ministers to the 6 regions or deputy ministers? And how do you expect them to properly function?
He would answer that question. My question to you now is that, in your most honest truth, do you think that the ministers are giving us value for money, that what we are paying them, what benefits they are getting for us? Do you believe that they are giving us value for money?
Oh, that is value judgment, and it depends on our individual understanding.
Yes, I'm asking your individual understanding. Are they giving us value for money?
Generally, yes. But obviously, there are some that we'll probably have to take a second look at. And so that should be left to the people of Ghana to make a decision. But if I had my way, maybe 1 or 2 people would see the door.
Okay. Mr. Bauer, take a quick bite before Doctor comes in to share the messages with us. He says, what would you have done if you had new regions to run? Necessarily, would you bring 12 new ministers?
Look, let me make a point here. You see, again, it goes back to the fact that we have decided as a country to destroy our bureaucracy. If we had believed in our bureaucracy and we allowed our bureaucracy to work as it's supposed to work, we don't need such huge numbers. I'll give you a typical example.
Right.
The Ministry of Transport has now been created. 2 other ministries have been created out of that ministry. You have Ministry of Railways or something, and then you have Ministry of Aviation.
Right.
Then you now have the proper Ministry of Transport, which in my opinion, what it just simply means Ministry of Buses and Cars. Because they have taken the aviation, they've taken the, maybe you could talk about the sea. You understand the point I'm making? Why would you need this if you have a very strong bureaucracy where you have maybe Ghana Railway Authority, you have a CEO who would have been a career bureaucrat, and therefore can do the work. You only need a supervision, policy formulation on the issue of transport, because that is basically the role of a minister, is to give policy directions to various implementing agencies to be able to implement. So why would you need 2 other places? I'm just using that as an example to tell you that if we were to sit down critically, look at certain ministries that we have created, you are talking about Ministry of Procurement. And you know the interesting part about the procurement issue? Anytime there's an issue of procurement and you write asking the Minister for Procurement to come and then answer a question on some procurement issue, by law, she's not the one supposed to come and answer. It's the Minister of Finance.
Right.
Because PPA falls on the Ministry of Finance.
True.
You understand my point? True. So, in as much as she's a Minister of State in charge, or as a Minister of Procurement, she has no function. Meanwhile, she's drawing salary. Meanwhile, she is supposed to be a minister. Why do you need that when you have a PPA that is there? And you have a Minister of Finance that's to pretend over the activities. Why would you want to have a minister?
What would you have done if you had 12 new regions to administer? Would you have brought 6 new regions? Would you have brought 12 new ministers?
You see, the point I'm just trying to make.
I want a straight answer so Doctor can read it.
The point I'm just trying to make is that, the point I'm just trying to make is that, look, even if you have the 12, you can still balance that up by slashing down a number of ministers you have created.
So what would you have had?
Look, we have never, and I'm saying, even until Akufo-Addo came, governments always had the worst case scenario was around 80. Until Akufo-Addo came, from Rollins to Kufuor to Mills and to John, it had always hovered between 70 something and then 80. Then suddenly you move to 111.
Okay. One simple question. You've gone around. You haven't answered it.
No, what do you mean I haven't answered it?
Dr. Namado, please share some messages with us. What are people saying on WhatsApp?
There's so many messages coming in on our WhatsApp console, but I'll start with this one. It says, coming from Rafik Abuabo, capitalist in Tamale. He says, good morning to the whole crew of TV3. I encourage every well-meaning patriotic Ghanaian to condemn the NDC chairman's comments, that's Mr. Ofosu Ampofo, and all these are the signs of the boot for boot their flag bearer encourages. May God save us from this wicked NDC leaders, he says. Filippo Kwabre Kasam, watching you live here inside Master Dambroka Kente Thread Shop. Hello, champion host. I'm pleading with those who have been appointed by Mr. President Nana-Addo to go and do the job perfectly for Mother Ghana and wishing them all the best. Good morning, he says to his manager. TV3, good morning. With regards to yesterday's failure, 7,432 of the first ever license exam. If the government and the National Teaching Council want the teacher trainees to pass their exams well, then they should give them a syllabus, a summary of the topics, because we are not magicians. This coming from Philip Anderson at Ekunfin, Nanaben. I am sorry for MPP and the government. After the executed plot by the so-called national security against citizens of this country, you find it convenient to tell the NDC chairman to resign. How many of your ministers of your security or ministers of security have resigned for the mess caused in this country? Mr. Ofosu is just plotting and you are calling for his head. What have you done to your men who executed the Ayawaso evil plot? Shame on you. This coming from Clement in Tripoli. Did I hear the information minister say they have to investigate the video further before action can be taken? That's a question Joseph Imbolga is asking. Then this is from Yamoha in Wa. As for John Mahama, well, as John Mahama was building 123 new E-blocks for senior high schools, Nana-Addo is busily appointing 123 ministers in this tight economy to further drain our little resources. He says the elephant is killing Ghana. NDC leadership so far has demonstrated that they are mature politicians, especially the aspirants who contested alongside with former President John Dramani Mahama. I hope the spirit of unity will continue to guide the party for their subsequent political activities. Kudos to NDC, long live Ghana. This is from Alaji Wilipi in Efie Kuma. Then from the Teacher Constitution in he says, so when are the minority going to be serious in Ghana politics? They walked out of parliament yesterday. Ghanaians will never make a mistake again to vote for the NDC because they look like a terrorist group rather than a political party. This is what you think. He's saying no to NDC is his hashtag there. Johnny, maybe we'll take some final two and then we'll wrap up here. Good morning, TV3. Very interesting. Catherine Afeku, Minister of State at the office of the senior minister. I think the president is joking with this country. This is coming from Emmanuel Takrade in Efiakuma. Then finally, if all political parties that have governed this country over the years had behaved the way this current MPP government is doing, would we have lived in peace to reach where we are today? What is more disgusting is when the stooges and sycophants come out defending the shameful acts of the government. Asanko Santa Maria. Then finally, good morning, Johnny. Taxi drivers have abandoned the taxi station, giving them an SCC near Ucoms and Wager and have moved very close to roadside by the Melcom building around the West Hills Mall. This is very dangerous because some people almost got hit by vehicles plying that route. Please, the stakeholders involved should take necessary action. Thank you, and I'm sure we'll make sure we work on that. Johnny,
thank you very much. I'm most grateful. We'll take a break at this point. When we return, we'll be talking about the tape, the Galamsey video, and matters arising. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I still have my guest, Richard Nyama of the NPP and Edward Barr of the NDC. Gentlemen, so let's zoom straight into, I'll start with you, Richard, on this one. The allegations that there's a cover-up because of the Galamsey video that Aremia Anas put up, the part 1, part 2 scheduled to come up, and that the Minister for Information demanding for the raw footage to be able to do proper investigation has raised a lot of eyebrows. What is happening?
There's a cover-up by who?
I don't know. By your side. That's what the NDC is saying, that look, you're trying to cover up this by blowing up Mr. Fuswampofo's, Elder Fuswampofo's leak tape and all the other issues. The reshuffle.
So are we talking about those two in conjunction?
Yes. We're talking about the two in conjunction. First, let's talk about the issue of Galamsey, if you will. The fact that the government set up, a fight against Galamsey. The media has been screaming on top of our lungs for it. Operation Vanguard came, interministerial committee came up, and we thought we were winning the fight. Then, boom, Anas hits us with an expose that implicates government officials. How's the government taking this?
How on earth does a video exposing allegedly people engaged in corruption be a sign that the fight against Galamsey in the first place has stopped? If I see this the right way, through the right optics,
okay,
it's actually part of the fight against Galamsey. First, let's put it on record.
Okay.
The NDC, as a government and as an opposition party, are for Galamsey, and they have promoted it.
How is that so?
In their 8 years in government, did they stop it? They formed him. There was a whole minister.
Right.
If I remember, Inusuf Husseini actually lamented publicly about how him and his task force could not perform. They were being undermined and all that. We saw our river bodies turn into murky waters, polluted beyond usage, to the extent that we're being warned that not too distant future we will have to import water in this country to drink. Okay? Please, let's all cast our minds back. Then the fight against Galamsey starts. It is succeeding. The water bodies are becoming clean. The former president goes out there actually campaigning as to how the MPP government is forcing people who are into illegal mining to be unemployed and all those things, virtually inciting them against the president and the government. And I have to be very frank with you. It takes a very determined, resolved president to keep going. Because we're talking about money bags, we're talking about chiefs and elders, we're talking about people of influence in this country who are into it, that you are fighting against. The president never eluded himself or Ghanaians that the fight is going to be done in a day. And he has kept saying it. And when the NDC made that comment, the former president, he came out that, look, he is prepared to lose the election, the next election, to do the right thing.
Now the video is here. How is the government responding to it or reacting to it?
Yes. And I just said that that video is a feather in the fight against Galamsey. Because whilst the process is going on, people that you have employed to do it and actually lead the fight, because the president can't do everything by himself, so he has to have some lieutenants to do it. So if those people in pursuing the president's mandate are actually sabotaging it in another form, it is only good that they are exposed so that it's dealt with. Yeah.
Is that why you're asking for the raw footage?
Oh, what is wrong with having the...
no, I'm just asking, is that why the government is asking for the raw footage?
The raw footage will be given to the appropriate institution to do further investigations and at least have, you see, secondary evidence naturally is sieved.
Okay.
Okay? And the likelihood that you will punch holes into them when you go to the law courts are higher than when you have the primary evidence. So for me, it is a show of commitment that, look, give me the raw data. Let me take it through the legal process to prove that, yes, these people are actually culpable.
Okay.
And that at no point would they use as their defense that this has been doctored, like the NDC is talking about when it comes to Ofusuampofo. It's been doctored means that at least you are part of it, but something has changed. So there's supposed to be an original tape or an original voice that has not been cut. That is where they are heading. If they say their tape is doctored, they are simply saying that
we'll talk about the
they
tape.
have.
Let's talk about the video.
No, I'm just using as an example.
Okay.
That as a defense. Though they have already started raising doubts.
Okay.
Because that is supposed to be some cut and paste. Someone deliberately took out some portions and put them together. So if the agencies and the relevant authorities are asking that, look, Bring us the raw data.
Right.
Let us use it so that nobody will go and make any excuses anywhere. I don't get your point that there's a cover up.
So then,
how can you cover up raw data? You can actually cover up the secondary one.
The question
not
that
the
question that comes up in my mind is that, well, it has an attendant effect. An ultimatum was given, it elapsed. Another was given, it elapsed. It ran for a full year, through which this time there was a ban on small-scale mining. The miners complained. People had gone for loans. We've said that, well, if we end Galamsey, we're going to provide alternative jobs to satisfy those who were in there at the time, so they don't get tempted to go back in there.
Yes.
All of these things, I don't see them. The guys who have left the pit, who are supposed to be getting alternative jobs, and we touted one district, one factory planting for food and jobs, for example, I don't see them. So my question now is that, yes,
you don't see them because they haven't been paraded before you, or you've gone on the ground and followed and you haven't found anyone. Which one?
No, I'm asking you.
No, you say you don't see them.
Yes.
You are making an emphatic statement. Hold on. If you're making an emphatic statement, you are telling the public that this is not being done. You have talked about food and jobs. So you have talked about this,
right?
And yet people have left the pits and they are not being engaged.
I'm saying that for whatever it is worth, we know the numbers that were involved in Galamsey.
What were the numbers?
No, I'm saying you are supposed to be telling me.
You keep passing the back. You just said you know the numbers. I didn't claim that.
Allow me to ask my question. You are not allowing me to ask my question.
Okay, ask your question.
My question is that I'm saying that it is also a fact, and I like the fact that you went for a historical perspective.
Yes.
The historical perspective is that at the time the Galamsey was stamped, or the president said we're going to stamp it, he gave an ultimatum. The first one elapsed, I think it was a 30-day. It elapsed, so it went through a whole year.
Which of the ultimatums are you talking about?
I've been key on this Galamsey matter, so we know.
No, I'm saying that
when John Bitamewu was minister, the ultimatum was given, it elapsed, he gave another one, it elapsed. I think it was about a third or fourth one, and then he got swapped. So I'm saying that within that time, people were not mining, which means that we had a problem with their licenses, which means that, and we had the miners complaining about the fact that their loans, they couldn't no longer service their loans because they couldn't go and mine and all of that. And then we said that, well, there's a certain link between those who do Galamsey and those who go and do deforestation and all of that.
Yes.
So we're going to provide jobs for them.
And that has been done. I am aware.
Okay, so give us the figures.
I am aware of someone in this country who was a very huge Galamsey miner.
Okay.
Who today is about the biggest commercial farmer individually.
Okay.
In this country.
Okay.
No, just share the name.
No, I wouldn't, because I am not saying this with his permission.
Okay.
Okay, and I wouldn't want to be exposing him. Maybe he doesn't want that to be known. But point is, if you went to the interministerial committee on this, the data is there, hardcore data, where capacity building has been given in conjunction with one district, food and jobs, food and jobs, where thousands of people have been
the 745,000, which was quoted by the minister, was challenged by the Peasant Farmers Association.
745,000.
Yes. They challenged that number.
That have been integrated into farming.
They challenged.
If they challenged it, what number did they give? What number did they give? You don't just challenge. You put out that per a head count by us, these are the numbers that you have engaged. And even that, if they challenged it, at least it means something was being done.
Are you able
that
to?
Is contrary to your argument that nothing is being done.
Mr. Nyama, it's not mine now. It's not mine.
People have been reintegrated, have been retrained into proper agriculture.
Hold on for me.
In the small scale mining.
Mr. Nyama,
yes.
you're my brother. Hold on for me.
Yes.
I'm asking. People have been reintegrated. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm saying give us numbers of the people who are being. You should be able to give me as
you just mentioned the number.
No, and I'm saying that number has been doubted. So now, give me the numbers.
Please, the minister has given a number. Okay. 745,000. Yes. You are saying somebody is challenging it. If you just come and say what you are saying, I don't agree with it. Because you say so, doesn't mean what you are saying is right.
Okay.
Give me a contrary number. Until you do that, what the minister has said is what stands.
Okay. So they have been integrated.
If you have reintegrated 745,000 people into agric from mining, look at the effect. Have you guys gone round and seen our water bodies now? Have you guys gone around and see the reforestation that is taking place? Have you seen the reclamation of the lands? Yes, and those same lands are being reclaimed to do farming.
Okay.
And so why is this issue that there is nothing to be hidden? And NAS is helping with the information. Those who are found culpable will be prosecuted, and well so, because learning from our past, where you have put these tapes together, you go to court and the case is knocked down on technicalities. You use the original ones, but they have facts on the ground too. Is that our waters are cleaner, our forest is growing, and we have more food for at a cheaper cost today because those people have gotten into agriculture. We have reclaimed all those lands that they freely allowed people to mine. You know what? In actual facts, based on their actions, legal concessions like Obuasi, you had armed bandits go in there and shoot officers and kill them. They closed down Obuasi. Today, Obuasi is back online.
Thank you very much.
That is your record when it comes to the
Richard, Mr. Bauer, step in for me now. So, this is the story that we're hearing. Anas Arimea Anas says the people who we selected to go and make sure that this fight becomes successful are the very people who are complicit in this. What's going on in your mind now?
Thank you very much. I will need to approach this in threefold. The first one is to correct. It was that, look, whilst you discourage these people from going into this, you must provide them with an alternative, attractive way, means of life, such that they would not go back to that.
Right. When did this dawn on him?
Can I make my point, please?
When did he dawn on him?
He kept quiet. He
kept quiet for you. He kept quiet for you.
We inherited the problem from him.
He kept quiet for you. Allow him to.
So I'm happy, and I'm equally happy that from all indications, not that he's disputing my statement, but he's telling me when did it dawn on him.
When did it dawn on him?
So to make the statement that His Excellency the former president was in favor of Galamsey and was condemning the president cannot be true. And indeed, when they attempted this the first time to derail his campaign on the basis of this, there was a formal statement that was issued by Ajine Boateng to that effect. So let's no one have it on their mind that this is the case. That's the fact. I just wanted to get that before come. The whole idea of fighting illegal mining in this country was something that everybody supported. But whilst doing it, we needed to also be very careful that just like in the oil industry, in the mining industry, local content has been very low. Ghanaians being part of this have been very low. There was a general blanket ban on small-scale mining, and so it meant that not only, because not all small-scale miners are galamseyers, and so, but there was a blanket one that was put there. So the people who were now operating within that particular industry were multinationals.
Right.
All the Ghanaians were off. Meanwhile, and you had captured this very rightly, that these were small-scale miners who had gone for gone for credit from banks and other things. One, they couldn't service the loans because they were out of business. Because in the first place, if you have, there's no way a small-scale miner will be given a license to mine, for example, in a reserve forest or maybe in a water body. And so there were demarcated areas because your license is specific to an acreage that you can deal with. That was a policy that was not very clear. As a member of the Mines and Energy Committee, we had the occasion to invite the minister, who is now the Minister of Energy, to come and give us. What was a clear policy guideline? When were you starting this program? You have started. What was the termination point?
Timelines.
At what point would you bring back these small-scale miners, particularly when they had petitioned the committee? We never had answers. We never got answers to these things. So, in as much as the principle underlying the fight is something that has been embraced by everybody, the policy and the direction of the whole exercise in itself was a bit hazy. It is not only in the mining thing. You look at planting for food and jobs. What is the policy document?
Let's keep to mining.
No, I'm just going to. I'm just trying to.
We don't have a lot of time, so let's keep to mining.
So that is it. So the whole idea of giving policy direction in that particular thing was something. That is why you would be asking questions that my brother has challenges answering. It is not because he does not want to answer them, but he himself has no information on that. He has no information because the government itself has no information. So when you ask them,
how can the government not have information?
That explains why.
Interministerial committee.
That is why. I'll come to that. That is why figures are being banded and they cannot make. But now to the correction, I've seen that you have started your signature to this time. Look.
So we are not discussing the tape.
You see, you have an expose that has come up. You have an expose that has come up. That involves people who work at the presidency. Then you have a president. Because just a few, number 12, remember number 12. Right. When it happened, immediately the president reported the issue to the police and asked the police to take
We don't know if he saw the
raw footage. All am now tapes. Usually what happens is that before he publicizes it, he makes sure that all the authorities involved they see it first.
How did number 12 end?
Even
what
you,
is the state of number 12 now?
Even you, the victim, or maybe the person who has been captured, most often than not, they give you an opportunity to look at it. To see, this is the way we captured you. So if you have a president that suddenly has his information minister come to tell us that, give us the raw data and we'll investigate, it's a clear indication that this is a government that's not ready to fight corruption. And I just said off air, I told you that it is not only this. Go back and read the report on the Chamber of Bulk Oil Companies. Fuel smuggling. The people who are involved in this, it has been captured in that document. The presidency, people from the presidency are involved in illegal fuel trade. And so if you have a situation, I'm just making a point that I'm not speaking. I've referred you to a document. Google it, and you will see it.
Thank you.
Please, gentlemen. You have made the point about former president having all these lofty ideas about the mining sector.
Gentlemen.
What did he do?
Okay.
So that all of a sudden he has the right.
So because of that,
so my gentlemen are here. Edward Bauer is the member of parliament for the Bongo constituency. He was here on behalf of the NDC. And Mr. Richard Nyama is also the deputy communications director of the NPP. Thank you very much for Friday.
It's a 3FM drive. Promises to be fun-packed with trending fun facts, exclusive personality interviews, music to calm your stress, and of course our hardcore pranks and many, many more. Join us on the 3FM drive. Ease your way through traffic with 3FM. Give your late afternoon drive a sense of humor with a 3FM drive. That's right! Hello everyone, my name is Giovanni Caleb, and live here on 3FM I bring to you the 3FM Drive. Weekdays, 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Right here on 3FM 92.7. Your late afternoon radio time just got better.
You know how he goes, that's right. I've got the man in studio with me and he's going to be telling me about his new show on 3FM Drive. Guy, good morning.
Good
that's
morning.
Right.
No.
Giovanni Caleb
You're supposed to do it right. Like,
okay, so
that's right. Then you go away from the mic.
Okay, maybe I've not eaten what you ate on
No, you don't have to.
Hey, then I'll come for
That's right is more like a full course meal.
Oh, Giovanni, good to have you here.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
And welcome to Media General.
Oh, man. Let's do this, people. Okay. I mean, the whole welcome party, whether it's planned or not, I'm loving the vibe already. Like from the security man, hello Giovanni. I'm like, this smile must be permanent though. Don't let it go.
Exactly.
And from the reception, everybody just full of love, all warm and like that's for the hugs there, baby. For the makeups, I'm sure I'll explain later to my wife. It's official professional hazard.
Well, it's good. You certainly will have to tell her, give her,
she's probably
it comes with the job. But anyway, tell us about the drive.
Okay, so starting Monday. We are going to be the talk of town, clearly. 3FM is rekindled to give you something to calm your stress. You know, I mean, we all know after a bad day, a good day, you want to listen to radio, someone who entertains you, someone who keeps you locked till 5:30 p.m. So 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., the new dawn is here. I mean, you don't want to miss this.
And a half program of giving us fun. So you talk about music. I saw pranks in
everything. That's what the pranks is Fridays. Yeah, Fridays you want to just get people who are close to you, people you want to connect with. Maybe it's your wedding anniversary, your boss, or someone, anything. Or yeah, we have a lot coming up. We have something on customer service coming up. We have a lot of music, great music, and of course because it's Eat Ghana, Wear Ghana, Be Ghana,
Smell Ghana,
Look Ghana, Feel Ghana month. We have a lot of things to represent where we are from, and we have lots of goodies to give away as well.
Nice.
So
they
it's
should
a place
tune
to
into
be.
92.7 next week Monday.
Don't
so
just tune in, actually lock it up.
Okay,
Yeah, you know, these
great.
days with our cars, you can lock down the dial. So it can be your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on there, Charlie. Yeah, be with us.
Nice. So they should make time with you next week.
Yep, Monday.
To 5:30 p.m.
Too excited,
the
man.
new drive.
Yeah,
Giovanni
just relax
Caleb.
out.
So give us the outro.
That's right.
Well, guys, that's Giovanni Caleb. He's
Yeah.
going to be on your radios 92.7 3 FM from 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. If you don't lock it down with him, I don't know what else you'll be doing around this time because you'll be in traffic. How better to drive through that traffic than with this man who's doing that. I don't even want to do it, but guys, that's all we'll do for now. But let me ask you, Giovanni, before you go off, because on Hearts Bay, we're talking about arguing. Is it a normal part of a relationship? Do you argue with your wife?
We argued on our wedding day.
Oh, Lord.
That's how normal argument is in any relationship. And yeah, it's just, I think it's the recovery that really matters because it's quite usual. I mean, yeah, we argue about everything, basic things. Sometimes you have time to just sit back and like, really, what are we talking? Yeah, like, well, yeah, one person will just have to apologize and it goes on. You might revisit that same argument much later on, especially with the women. They'll have a way of reminding you, we spoke about this before.
Oh, but the man meant to do it in a nice way.
I know, it's okay, I don't understand.
Don't remember, just bland about
Why
it.
are you arguing with me right now? Are we in a relationship?
No, we are not, and so we'll keep it at that. But thank you for joining us,
You're
Giovanni.
welcome.
So that's what we'll be discussing on Hearts Bay. Is argument a normal part of a relationship? Or do you think it means the relationship is just about to go sour? Just tune in and find out when I'm joined by Counselor and Rabbi himself. Stay tuned. So for music lovers, just remember that Music on Saturday we'll be having Continue, we'll be having the throwback, we'll be having the TH for Quadris represented there. So many people will be back on set, so make sure you stay with us. But it's time to do Hearts Bay. What are we talking about? Argument. Is argument a part of normal life? Let's see this, conversation that we're being asked a question today, and we need to address that before we end Hearts Bay today. So let's find out what this viewer is asking.
Dear TV3 Newday, I have been in a relationship for almost a year now with a lady. The first 2 months of our relationship was smooth and perfect. However, after the first 2 months, no single week passes without we arguing. We argue over almost everything. I am beginning to feel this is not the right place for me. I spoke to a friend about quitting the relationship, but he said arguing is a natural part of every relationship. How true is this?
And that is the question. How true is this if arguing is part of normal relationship? Joining me in studio is Rabbi Odame Ansah, and of course I've got Counselor Lutrot also in studio to discuss this. Let me start with you, Counselor. Is arguing a normal part of a relationship?
Well, good morning to cherished viewers. And I want to say cherished good morning to Mr. Abe, a chartered accountant in law, watching us this morning. You see, argument, we will always say that is normal. Because I keep saying that even the Bible says that if you don't get angry, you are sinning against God.
Which part of the Bible says that?
Oh, you don't go to church. Just do mobile money, let me give you the scripture. Now nothing will go for free.
No, you should. You put it out there.
So they should go and research that I said so.
Very well.
So we are sitting here.
Let's move on.
It says, be angry, but sin not. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. So being angry is not a crime.
Yeah.
Good. So in argument, usually people argue because they have divergent views. They don't understand what you're talking about. Now, based on this, we'll come back to say that, argument can be normal. However, it is left with who is arguing and who you are arguing with.
Right.
So the person you are arguing with will make argument normal or abnormal.
Okay.
Do you understand? Because if it becomes argument in relationship, you have to be very careful because there are some argument in relationship that ends up to become red flags. And when it's red flag, watch it.
Okay.
There are people that they don't want you to say what you want to say. So They will provoke you with an argument. Okay. There are people that when they are arguing, they can't argue with their hands down, their legs down. They argue with their legs, their mouth, their stomach, every part of their body. So they argue and then they throw their hands at the same time. So arguments with each other is one of the symbols of conflict. Okay. So I keep saying that argument cannot be normal because it's avoidable. So if in a relationship you're having argument, it's one of the things that broods conflicts in relationship. Right. So it cannot be normal. There is something wrong. Why the two of you cannot have a discourse in humility or in understanding? So something is wrong. Okay. Don't take it as normal. And don't also take it as spiritual. I know the pastors will say it's a spiritual attack. Okay. That one, I don't go there. It is not spiritual because argument is human beings deciding to argue human beings. Let the spirit. Some of them, the spirit have gone to buy tea, bread, and cocoa. Let them go. So don't come and say it is spiritual. Don't also say it is normal. It is a disorder in the relationship that must be worked on. Okay.
So you are saying it is present in relationships, however, it is abnormal.
It's abnormal.
Okay, very well. Let me come to you, Rabbi. What's your take on that?
Well, arguments, we can't take them out of human endeavor, right, because of opinions, you understand. And whenever argument comes about, it means that we're having different ideas, different opinions, and we are not able to come to a common ground. Right. Now, people will do things because they are convicted about what they are doing. So one will argue about what he or she is convicted about. Okay. And when that happens, you need to take your cool. Now, you can eradicate argument to a certain level in your relationship, because when you educate your partner and you take time and you educate, and the person becomes convicted about what you are educating the person from, then it means that you have driven the person from where you are into your point of view. You understand what I mean? Okay. Now, nobody does anything in order to attain a state of being. It's because people do certain things in certain ways because they are that state of being. Okay. So the moment argument comes, then it means that you are dealing with a state of being. But a state of being can be worked on. Right. You understand? Now, one thing you also do is that you try not to feed the things that brings argument. So if you have been with a person for 1 year, then you should know the things that breeds argument. Stop feeding it. Now, things that are unfed eventually dies off. So you try as much as possible to notice the things that brings argument. And we're also looking at what are you arguing about? Is it about politics? Is it about money? Is it about what to use your money for, how many children you should give birth to? The subject, the things you are arguing about also matters most. You understand? And like how Counselor said, it can be
fueled.
Yeah, it can be red flags. Oh, right. You understand? Okay. Depending on what you are arguing about. Some are very trivial. It will not necessarily affect the relationship. Right. But some too are very serious, and you have to take note of them.
But in this particular instance where they are doing it every week.
That's my issue. It comes to a point where people think that these are the trivial issues. But for example, you go out with me, we are in a steady relationship, and you give me a standing order. When we are here to have fun, I don't want you to mention Johnny again. Okay. Who is Johnny? Johnny is an ex-boyfriend. Okay. So you gave me a standing order, don't mention Johnny. Then in our conversation, Johnny comes in. Then becomes, I told you, get up, let's go, let's leave here. I say at airport runabout, a girl, very beautiful girl, was just pushed out of the front of the car by a boyfriend.
Because of an argument.
Because of an argument. And she was begging while the car was going. I asked myself, Madam, then how? Unifie. I see there, you're catching me saying, Mammy, and Bobby, and I'm born in Panadine. And I see, so after pushing you like this, I felt so humiliated for such a thing because they've been arguing for a long time and say, get out of my car. So I'm saying that anybody who constantly argues with you, because in marriage is not equality. There is order from above and it has to be obeyed by those who are down there. So if constantly you're arguing with somebody, it means there's no authority. That is why age is not just a number. Because when people are older than you, you have some standard of respect for them. You understand? So when my people who are of the same age, people who are higher than you, imagine your wife is the one paying rent in the house. You should shut up in the house every day.
Not necessarily.
No, I am saying it. The what is mutual? You are not paying.
They have done it under mutual agreement.
You are not paying light bill. You are not paying water bill. You are not paying rent. And you have the right to even have sexual intercourse.
Counselor,
you should shut up in the house when there's argument.
So let me go to Johnny and let's take viewers' views on this discussion.
Sure, absolutely. And yes, it's okay for a couple to argue. I've been with my girlfriend for a year now. We don't argue, but I make her smile. Okay. Good morning. It's normal to argue about some little things in the home, but never argue for a long time to trigger slaps. We must understand that we come from different homes with different perspectives. So management is the key. Ernest from Kumasi Santasi. And Barbara, argument in a relationship is very important because through argument you can find out who your partner really is. Good morning. TV3. Argument between relationships in a relationship is a natural phenomenon, but if it's getting out of hand, go with the head, the one who can't control the situation. Jonas D from Tumu. It's normal to argue, but when it happens, no, parties should come together and sort things out. I'm Kandai Malik from Bandai in the Upper West region. Samuel Dari from Sola in the Northern region says, good morning. There can't be a relationship without argument. At least you are both humans and definitely will have different views. You should be able to know most of your differences and make sure one doesn't cross the other just to avoid unnecessary arguments almost all the time. But a situation where there is argument all the time, I think one or both of you are not proving their natural colors, and I think the relationship should be nipped in the bud to avoid future unwanted occurrences. What happens if you are married? I think argument between man and woman is natural, more especially in a new relationship. This will help them to understand each other better because it unveils the true picture of the couples. I used to argue with my lady on certain issues, which as I talk now, things have changed because of arguing. So arguing in a relationship is normal. Scorpion speaking from UDS in Tamale. Good morning to all of you. You guys are looking very good this morning. I think argument is good for couples because it helps both to express their opinions in different ways or views. I'm Yami Wisdom from Wurupong in Oti region. First of all, both should look back how the starting was. Loving her does not mean she doesn't offend you, but I just calculated all her offenses, past, present, and future, and chose to forgive and love. I tell you again, if you are in a relationship with yourself, you'll still be offended by yourself. My little word, something. My wife and I always argue, but it got to a time where we can no longer control ourselves. We even argue in a public place. However, I try to discuss issues with her rather than argue with her because in argument, everyone wants to win. And I think she is right, but in a discussion, both come out with the right decision. And finally, in this stretch, hello, good morning. Of course, what is being argued about is also key. I mean, 2 months into a relationship and you find out your boyfriend still has constant conversation with his ex-girlfriend, and these conversations are not in any way business or formal. Come one and just by you inquiring why, and it turns out into an argument. Yes, so arguments are inevitable in a relationship, but what happens afterwards is the most important thing, Doc.
Thank you, Johnny, for those messages coming in. But Councillor, you were laughing and passing some comments when
I mean, your boyfriend in 2 months is discussing, still having constant communication with the ex-girlfriend. Are you the one having the communication?
No.
Is it your credit?
No.
Is it your phone? You see, this is witch hunting.
But if she has an issue with you, probably she's not.
You see, that's my problem.
Safe in the relationship.
If you are not safe, go.
Right.
I have my ex-girlfriend, we keep chatting. And what we talk about...
But why are they exes if you still want to always...
I decide to let an ex go. It's me. That's our problem. You see, we decide to determine the parameters. Don't talk. People come and say, don't talk to this person again. Don't talk to this person again. Delete this. People even come to say, delete your Facebook account, open a new one, change your number and all these things because they will get to you. I'm saying... the things that bring us to argue, check if the other person wants to be bossy,
right,
or really it's an argument is genuine. And I hear there's this normal thing that we keep saying when we're growing, that when two people argue, it means they love themselves. Two people are always arguing in the office and say the way the two of you are arguing, it means something is going on. How do you argue with somebody that you say you love the person? So the issue is we should watch what we put stop on.
Right.
Don't talk to this person. Don't go to this place. So when they go and come, then it becomes argument. But I tell everybody, if argument moves to abuse, make sure that your first call is the police station.
Right.
I mean, keep that one in your head. Now people's first call have become the church, pastors and pastors' wives. I don't buy it. Your first call should be the police station. Right. After, report to the pastor. So, police station, the picture or something like that. You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah. Rabbi, let me find out your views on some of the messages people came in with.
Well, the same thing is what we are talking about, because we are human institution. They would have their opinions. Now, all the people who brought their views, they are coming from a certain point of view. they have a certain understanding, they have had certain experiences, and that is why some of them would come up with such opinions. It may be subject to correction, and that can even trigger argument, because if you're trying to correct them and they are not taking it, then argument might come. So that's what I'm saying, that it depends on the subject that you are arguing about. It also has to do with your approach, how you handle the argument. I try to argue with my actions than with words. You understand? I try as much as possible as the man of the house to lead by example, and I don't put this thing here and I come and meet it there. I won't talk. I just pick it and put it here. If I talk, it can solve the problem. If I put it here, it can also solve the problem. I decide that I will argue with my actions.
Very well.
And it has worked, and it has reduced tension and conflict in the relationship. So it depends on what you are arguing about, the topic, and your approach. But we cannot eliminate argument.
As we talk about these things, I want to find out, just like you said, you can't eliminate. So does it mean if there's a relationship in which people are not arguing, obviously the verbal kind, then there's something wrong with that particular relationship?
Well, I can't really say that, but it is always important that some form of argument will come up for you to even know what is going on in the minds and in the heart of the person you are trying to spend the rest of your life with. Because, like I said, the tree will be known by the fruits that is bearing. Your words, don't take it for granted, is an indication, is a picture of what you are thinking and who you are. So if argument keeps on coming, it tells you that this is the nature of my partner, and it's even good for you to know whether you can continue in a relationship or you cannot continue in a relationship.
Should we probably even go back to ask the question of what is then a discussion and what is an argument, because these things are all forms of communication.
You see,
what will lead one to think we're arguing but we are discussing, or I'm just letting my partner know my issues?
Let me tell you, tribally, there are some people that their tonation and their language, when you hear them from your window, you think they are fighting. I mean, there are some tribes that their communication is like they are having a serious quarrel. I mean, you can hear some couple just communicating, and because of their language barrier, especially there are some languages from the northern part of the place, you don't understand, you think it's tongues. And because it's tongues, you think they are fighting. But before you hear, they will laugh in a northern style. Or you meet a guy who is happy after eating some cake, even with small fish and plenty pepper. They will laugh, and so they are, you think, so communication in its own self, there are people that their tone is high. So people say, can you tone down? That alone starts an argument. But if you understand this is their pitch and this is how they present, you get it. But if you ask that, is there any relation, if there's no argument in a relationship, is it a normal relationship? It's an abnormal relationship, because I have met people who come on TV or come and say, me and my wife, 29 years now, nothing has happened. Then 29 years, we are celebrating women, and you bring the woman to come and talk. You punch one hole, and she tells you the things she has decided to keep. Because when she speaks, I am for war. So I'm saying that there are times that you need to learn how to communicate. There's another arm of communication called confrontation. I mean, by the grace of God, I've written a book about it. Will come out. That we all think is confrontation is not communication. And in marriage, we do more confrontation than communication. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not normal for you not to have an argument. But it is maturity. That's why children don't marry. Marriage is not for kids. And it's having a steady relationship. I feel talking jolly every time you argue. These current girls who have come, I don't know what is wrong with them. They don't have decorum to do this thing we did some years ago. You are spoiling the game. So you use social media. They now argue on social media. Then they do snapshot and they drop. So when there's quarrel later and the relation is no more, then they start releasing it. I said this on this and snap. So we don't even know how to argue now. Now we don't even know how to argue to get any sense out of it. So if you're in a relationship and the slightest thing leads you to argument, there's difference between trying to have a discussion in the slightest thing. They've given you a no-go area. But you need something from the no-go area. You meet a guy, you ask him what's your full name. He says, me, now I write Frank Lutrot. He says, from where? I'm from Volta region. And we are not from Volta region. So it puts a lot of question in your mind. Why do you write Frank Lutrot? He's my spiritual father. So I want to write his name. He says, so who is your real father? Me, I want you to learn this from me, my darling. The way I love you I would never want you to talk about my father. I have grown out of that thing. Now this is the man that says my father. Either you take him like that or for us to go on. And the girl too is insisting to know, if you say you are an Ewe, from which house are you coming from? So when this begin to start an argument, this is a genuine concern the person is asking a question. And I will not encourage you to stop asking. If you really want to be in a relationship and you want to know, either you stop the relationship or continue asking. You understand? So there are things you want results. So constantly I want results. I'll ask this question. But there are some men, there are some women. There are women who can tell you, I don't want to see this guy in my house again. And they put you in that fix. If they tell you they don't want to see you and Johnny on set again, your husband says, yes, I like you being there. If you want to continue to be on the Newday, I never want to see them paying you and Johnny again on set. You come and tell your director, I want to have peace in my home so that I can continue working for you. Can you make Johnny never join me on set?
But you know, just you're talking about this, let me bring Rabbi in and ask the final question in this. Could it mean, or could there be a situation where because of their personality differences, that's why arguments will arise? And if that's the situation, then we come back to the question of, isn't it possible to have a relationship where people don't argue?
It will never ever happen. There will always be, no matter how close they may be in nature, there would always be some few, differences. Yeah. And you asked a question I would like to contribute. Now you said, what is the difference? Where is the line? Do we draw the line between a normal distance and an argument? An argument is where you are giving and taking and giving and taking. You can still share different ideas and minimize the argument level. You understand? Yes, if the person is sharing his or her opinion and ideas to you, you don't agree, you can decide not to immediately, respond. You can decide. It's not dangerous. It's wise.
You have to
don't interject me. Don't interject me.
You have to deal with them physically.
Yes, but that is your opinion, and I have an opinion. So keep quiet. Let me put my opinion across.
Don't worry, I just want to get a missed call. That's why I said.
Okay. So the thing is that you can decide not to respond immediately, so that you don't destroy the environment and the relationship. Keep harmony, and then later on, you recall and say, you said this, and I think that I have an issue with it. You understand? So this and this and this and this and this and this and that. Or you can say, well, I think I understand where you are coming from, but what about this and this and this other options? There is a way to go about it that you will still be arguing, but that tension will not be there, and you would minimize that kind of conflict. Because winning an argument does not necessarily improve. It's not a guarantee that it will improve the relationship.
Anyway, our time is up. So, Councillor, your final words, just in a second. Otherwise, I'll catch you.
Well, unfortunately, it's a second. But I think that the other thing is that we keep telling people that give them time. There are times that when people tell you things that they are not right where they are, you who is matured, stop them from what they are saying. Because if you don't stop them, they will add the next word to it. Some people must be stopped from the first. Well, my second is up. So I'm responsible for my comment on 0277 609644. I'm very, very responsible for my comment.
Indeed,
if there's an argument, and
there won't be an argument here, because that discussion was just an argument in relationships. And we're asking the question whether it's normal in relationships to have arguments or not. And Rabbi Odami Ansan has shared his opinion, and Councillor Lutrot has also waded in the conversation. But Johnny, arguments are normal.
Let's start arguing now.
No, we don't want any arguments now. Do we have any comments there? Here, there's the last one.
Have comments there.
Okay.
I'm sure this is the last one. It says Genesis chapter 16, verse 5 to 7. Then Sarah said to Abram, it's all your fault. B, I gave you my slave woman, but she has been hateful to me ever since he found out she was pregnant. You have done me wrong, and you will have to answer to the Lord for this. Abram said, all right, she is your slave, and you can do whatever you want with her. But Sarai began treating Hagar so harshly that she finally ran away. 7, Hagar stopped to rest at the spring in the desert on the road to Shur. While she was there, the angel of the Lord came to her. 8, Hagar, where have you come from? And where are you going? I don't know why we're bringing this at the end of it, but anyway. But Jonathan
says there's an argument in there,
well,
so I guess.
Well, I don't know if he gets married, he will understand.
Of our life. Ever since Sarah sacked Hagar,
you
never have a peace of mind. So when your husband brings a child from outside, collect the
that's
child,
a different topic
that
altogether.
is it.
So we'll discuss. That's an argument. That results from an argument.
You had sex with the maid servant.
Yeah, that's
what you can't do. No, what you can't do. Your maid servant just did it, and you are arguing with her.
Rabbi,
can you get pregnant, Sarah?
Queenism, if they bring you a baby from outside, should you take it? Rabbi, should you take the baby if they bring you a baby?
My husband's child?
Yes.
Oh, why not? If my husband respects himself enough to respect me and handle me in a way that I'm sorry, this is what has happened out of wedlock, and I'll be grateful if you would take this child. But not when my husband comes and disrespect me and want to force the child on me as if the woman has no rights and privileges in the marriage. That is slavery. It won't happen. It's not marriage.
Okay.
Anyway, guys,
we're wrapping up.
Don't tell your wife. It's your family.
We're not here for an argument. We are not in a relationship.
We're not arguing about this. We're not arguing about this because today at 10 a.m., GIJ, the Ghana Institute of Journalism, of which I'm a very proud alumnus, we're launching our 60th anniversary at the Institute. Is at the GIJ campus. The campus hasn't changed anyway. So Abdul Gamal Nasser Road, you've got to be there 10 a.m. sharp. If you have had any influence on you from GIJ, join us. At 9 a.m. from now, I'll be on 3FM 92.7. We're talking critical community issues. We're talking about the dental footbridges, and we're going to Kalishi First Light. They're blocking the road from tomorrow. Did you know? We'll talk about that as well. Happy birthday to you, Joyce Owusu of Purple Trends. It's your birthday today, and if it's your birthday as well, enjoy. Here we dance.
Yep, and we're still celebrating Ghana Man.
No, we're doing Ghana Man. Osofo, you need to get up and dance, Rabbi.
Osofo will dance to gospel music.
Please. What kind of song is that? No, this one is a nice Kofi Kenyatta song.
I feel my baby, I feel your son on blue.